Hi everybody, thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I'm finally filming an updated The Best Eyeshadow Palettes for Green Eyes video. The first time I filmed this was 7 years ago. I was a little baby, I was 25 years old, and now I'm 32 and I'm finally filming an updated version. I'm gonna sound so like old school YouTube, but this is my most requested video. Nobody requests anything nowadays but this. Everyone is like, you need to do an updated eyeshadow palettes for Green Eyes video. Like, what's taking you so long? Finally, today's the day. To my defense, I wanted to make sure I had a tutorial up on every single one of these palettes. And I'm pretty sure I can confidently say I have a video on each and every one of these palettes, guys. You'll be proud of me. So there are certain colors that really make my eyes pop. Now remember, I'm not a pro, I'm not an expert, I just love makeup and I like sharing with you what works for me. So the certain colors that really make my eyes pop: purple, rosy pinky tones, greens, and then also like burgundies, reds, but like wearable reds, you know what I mean? So those are the colors and the palette, those are the type of palettes that I'm going to be sharing with you. Some of these palettes are limited edition, some of them are discontinued, but I want to bring them up because just in case you guys have it in your collection, I want you guys to take it out and start using them. So that's why I'm mentioning older palettes, some that are limited edition, some that are like gone, doesn't even exist anymore. But yeah, let's jump in. I don't know what color I want to start off with. I'm going to start off with the color that I'm currently just obsessed with, that I wear pretty much all the time, and that's green. More so like the olivey warm tone greens. If I wear cooler tone greens or like emerald greens, those actually dull out my eyes. So all the palettes, all the green palettes that I'm going to share with you now, they're more on the warmer olivey green side. And the first palette is my favorite palette right now, guys. I'm obsessed. It is the Star Wars The Child palette. I got this after, I'm obsessed with The Mandalorian, and I ended up getting this palette just because I was obsessed with The Mandalorian. But thank God I did, because this is the perfect green eyeshadow palette. You can do such a wearable green eyeshadow look with this. Unfortunately, this shadow just totally fell out. It's broken. I'm gonna buy a new palette because I just want like a fresh one, I love this palette, guys, though, because I have a dark olive green here. It's matte. You also have a shimmer olive green. You have like a metallic-y olive green, like a lighter olivey green here. You have neutral colors here. And then this green is such a pretty like taupey, silvery green. It is so pretty. I have 2 tutorials up with this palette. I love it so much. I always get compliments when I wear this on my eyes. So this is a great one to have, and ColourPop has their quality really, really good. I would pick this up like right now. If you don't have this palette, pick it up right now. Stop this video, buy it. Another ColourPop palette that really makes my eyes pop, it's this one right here. It's a little quad. It's called Never Tore Us Apart. Look how pretty this is, guys. Look at this shimmer shade right here. This is such a pretty goldy green. This just, bam, makes my eyes pop. It's a really pretty olivey green shade, all matte. You have a neutral color here. It's a nice warm brown, which the warm browns always make my eyes pop. And just all together, this is a perfect, perfect palette. And then these 2 palettes, I believe, are discontinued. Well, this one for sure is discontinued, and I don't know why. KKW Beauty. This is the camo palette, guys. I swear I bought this palette, and then like 2 weeks later she announced she was rebranding, and I was so upset because look how pretty this eyeshadow palette is. Whoever, there's a fly in here and he just won't leave. Whoever created this palette, like behind the scenes, I love you so much, and I hope you do something similar with her new brand. If she is gonna even come out with a new brand, I don't know, but this is perfect, guys. And it's like the same thing. You can do a very neutral look with this and then do a pop of green on your lower lash line, or you can do a full green look. Now that I'm really looking at this, it's very similar to the Mandalorian palette, the Child palette. It has easy wearable greens, and this quality, the shade quality, amazing. Very easy to use, super blendable. I was so impressed with this eyeshadow palette. It made me want to buy more of her palettes, but then she rebranded, so I don't know what's going on with her, but this is a great, great olivey green eyeshadow palette. Love it. Eyeshadow palette is discontinued, and I know a lot of people didn't like this palette, but I love it. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. If you have green eyes, you need to find this palette somewhere. Actually, this palette, I put it in the olive green section, but this has a little bit of everything, so I apologize. It has this beautiful, this was my favorite olive green shade until I got the Mandalorian palette. It's called Destiny. This is beautiful. I have several looks with this palette up on my channel, so I'll leave it down below. This duochrome shade is insane. Oh my god, look how crazy that color is. This emerald green, if you use a little bit, like I used a little bit and it was fine, it didn't dull out my eyes. The purples, perfect. I do the purples all the time and it looks really pretty. So I love this palette. I love it. If you have it and you haven't used it in a while, bring it out, because this will definitely make your green eyes pop. And even if you have brown eyes, these purples will make them pop. Like, pull this out, guys. It's a really, really good palette. Just a little bit goes a long way. That's my one tip for you guys. If you have trouble using this, look, it's not the easiest palette to use, but a little bit goes a long way. And just, you know, blend and blend and blend. Don't be, you know, impatient or anything. Just blend out and you'll be fine. So that's it for the olive green palettes. There are a couple palettes that have like greens in them, but I really wouldn't recommend them to you guys. Like, these are like my solid green eyeshadow palettes. So that's it. Let's move on to the rosy pinky tones that I love so much. Okay, actually, and to bring it back a little bit, I really don't have, guys, a lot of purple palettes. Like, I'm slacking on the purple eyeshadow. Today, I wanted to really add in, guys, the Huda Beauty Rose Quartz palette. I really did, but honestly, this is not good. I ended up using some shades from here, and then I used another eyeshadow palette to finish up this look, so I don't recommend this. It's pretty, but if you really want your eyes to pop and go ba-bam, like, this isn't it. It's a beautiful palette, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't recommend it as one of the best eyeshadow palettes for green eyes. So let's get into the rosy pinky palettes. Number one, guys, I love the Urban Decay Naked 3 palette. That is still my favorite, and I think it's because it's the cooler toned pinky rosy shades that that palette makes my eyes look crystal clear. The ones that I'm going to share with you today are more on the warm side. So let's start off with Huda Beauty New Nudes. I love this palette. I really do think it makes my eyes pop. You have some pinks and you have some purples, actually. So this could be considered a purple palette too. This is really, really nice. It's very, very easy to use, very forgiving. I don't know what's happening outside. But I really love, for purple at least, these shades over here in this little triangle corner here. These are really, really good. And then the rest is more like pinky rosy tone. Like, all the shimmers are really nice. They really make my eyes pop, so I do like this palette a lot. Also, I love this palette so much. This one is the Tartelette So Juicy palette. Now, they don't have this one anymore, but they do have the smaller version, so I do recommend it. I don't know why they made this limited edition, because it's so pretty. Look at these pinky tones. This is such a good versatile palette. If you want to do a pinky look, you have the first two rows totally pinky, totally will make your eyes pop. And then if you just want a regular neutral look with like a little undertone of pink, you have the last two rows. So I love this palette. I don't use it as much as I should just because I have so many palettes, but this is great. Really great. It's more on the warm side, so yeah, still makes my eyes pop. Anytime I want to do a pinky look, like, this is one of the top three, you know, that I'll gravitate towards. So I do like this palette, and the mini version will do just fine, but if you guys can get your hands on this one, I would buy it. And then I have two more affordable options that I love. I just raved about this palette by Wet n Wild. It's their Always Blushin' eyeshadow palette. I don't see these often in drugstores, but they do still sell this. I found this one specifically at a CVS. And guys, I love this palette. I don't know why though they put in these like weird, I mean, from this distance, the shadow looks crazy, but it's not very easy to use, and the glitter gets everywhere. It's like a pressed glitter. It's really not that good. But everything else, amazing. My eyes looked just crazy the other day when I did a tutorial with this palette. Beautiful. Follow me on TikTok, you'll see it. This palette's so easy to use. I love Wet n Wild eyeshadows. Look, they're not as good as they used to be, but they're still the best at the drugstore. So this one is beautiful, warmer pinky tones. You also have neutrals here. If you don't want to spend the money on the Tarte palette, just buy this one and you'll be good to go. Lastly, this is more like taupey instead of pinky, but this is pretty much my only like taupey palette. This is ColourPop's That's Taupe, and like this color right here reminds me of something in the Naked 3, along with like this shade. This is very similar to Naked 3. So if you don't want to buy the Naked 3, this one is a good second option. I love this palette. I have a tutorial up. It just is really, really pretty and makes my eyes just bam, like in your face. I like it. You can do a very natural everyday look, or you can step it up a notch, do like a nighttime look with this, and it's really, really nice. Again, ColourPop shadows, great quality, and it's pretty affordable. So this will definitely make your eyes pop. If you want like a taupey look, this one is really good. That's it for the rosy pinky tones. Now we're moving on to the burgundies and the reds. So these, I have 4 palettes. 2 of them are higher end, and then the other 2 are like almost drugstore dupes for the high-end palettes. So first up, I have Naked Heat. I love this palette. I feel like this palette doesn't get as much hype as it deserves, but these reddish, like burgundy, like burnt orangey shades, guys, are really just, I don't know what they do to my eyes, but they're popping when I use this palette. I just did a look with it recently, and it just makes me almost look a little scary because my eyes are so light, and then with the reddish shades, it's just like a little creepy looking, but I mean, it makes your eyes pop. So I love this. They still sell this. I love it. And if you want a cheaper version that's still really good, I love, and I haven't spoken about these in a long time, and I'm really upset at myself for not talking about them. This is the Rimmel Magnifies Spice Edition. This is such a good palette, guys, and it's so similar to the Naked Heat palette. They're not exact dupes, but it's almost, guys, it's almost an exact dupe. I love both of these palettes. If you don't want to spend the money on the Naked Heat, just get this one by Rimmel, guys. It's really, really nice, good quality. And the Rimmel palettes come with this little brush that I use in my tutorials all the time. I'm trying to look for it, but everybody always asks me, what little brush is that? And I always say it, it's in the Rimmel palettes, guys. Of course I can't find one right now. Hold on. I really haven't talked this much in a long time. I'm like losing my voice, but this is the little brush that comes in the Rimmel palettes. It has like this little tiny flat shader brush on one end, and it's so good for packing on the outer V corner and even getting some color in the crease. And then it has a sponge tip, which I actually used the sponge tip the other day, and it was really nice. I used it for an inner corner highlight, and look at that. Oh my god, I gotta blend that out. So I love these little brushes that come in these palettes. I use this all the time. But anyway, both of these palettes, love the reddish burgundy tones, totally will make your eyes pop. And then the other Naked palette is the Naked Cherry, and this one too, I don't think they sell this anymore, but man, my eyes just, again, this is like almost purpley, kind of pinky. It's in between. Either way, this just makes my eyes look insane. I love this palette. I did a tutorial with it in my Naked for 5 days video, and this was my favorite look that I did, and I think it got the least amount of views. I don't know why, but this is a really, really good palette for green eyes, guys. It's so good. Mixture of reds, mixture of pinks. You have some everyday shades on this side. I love it. If you can't find this palette, then go ahead, pick up the Rimmel Magnifies Crimson Edition. Very similar. It's not as close as the Naked Heat and the Crimson and the Spice Edition, but it's close to the Naked Cherry. You can do everyday looks, nighttime looks. This will still make your eyes pop, promise, especially this bright pink. Woo! And this color right here, that will make your eyes look a little crazy. But yeah, definitely a good drugstore option if you can't find the Naked Cherry anymore. I really don't know. We're getting into the palettes that have a little bit of all the colors that I mentioned. Let's start off with the ColourPop Gather Round Sisters palette. This is the Hocus Pocus Holiday Edition. This is the palette I had to use with the Rose Quartz palette today because this just wasn't cutting it, so I had to use this one. This palette has beautiful purples. Sorry, my refrigerator just kicked in. I used this purple down here today. It's so pretty. This warm plum really makes my eyes pop. There's something about it. This palette also has like olivey greens here. You have neutral shades here, but you also have some burgundy reds. And then like, again, this is like a silvery taupe shade. But yeah, you have your purples, you have your burgundies, and you have your greens. So this is a great palette. They usually will release this palette during like Halloween, during October. So if you didn't get it, actually, to tell you the truth, this came out one year and I didn't get it the year it came out. I got it the second year. I think it was last year I bought this, and I'm so happy that I did because I'm telling you guys, these shades just really, really make my eyes pop. So love this palette. If they come out with it again this year during Halloween, I highly recommend you picking it up. It's also a limited edition palette by Too Faced. It's their pumpkin spice palette. I love this palette. I know everybody like hates Too Faced now, but this one, I'm still obsessed with it to this day. So this has a couple green shades that are super pretty. You have some purples and pinks down here, and then you have a nice like magenta-y orange. Like, this is just a great freaking palette, especially if you have green eyes. They don't really re-release these palettes, so if you have this and you haven't used it in a while, bring it out, guys. This is not just like a fall palette. You can totally wear this all year round. I love this. I love this palette so much. And lastly, I had to mention this because this is such a gorgeous, gorgeous palette. It's ColourPop's At Forest Sight palette. This was a collaboration with Christy from Raw Beauty Christy. Guys, you have olive greens here, you have a shimmer, and then you have, and guys, this formula is just out of control, super, super pigmented. A little bit goes a long way. This isn't like a typical ColourPop formula. I don't know what they did, but this is like intense. So you have olive greens here, and of course a neutral brown, which is great. Love these, love this row right here, or column, whatever you want to call it. I love it. You have really, you have a really pretty plummy dark purple here. Gorgeous. And then you have like a reddish brown, just another deep brown. Anyway, this is really, really beautiful palette. Totally makes my eyes pop. If you guys have it, bring it out. But this is absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my favorite palettes. There's actually one palette that I haven't purchased, but I really want to purchase, and I feel like if you have green eyes, you should totally buy this palette. It's the ColourPop It's a Mood palette. It's really pretty. I'm gonna bring it up on my phone really quickly. I feel like this palette is perfect if you have green eyes because it comes with a ton of different greens, it comes with a ton of different purples, and then you have like warm orangey shades. Guys, it is beautiful. I haven't purchased it yet because I'm planning on doing like a big ColourPop order, which is why if you follow me on Instagram, I asked you guys what are your favorite ColourPop products so that I can do like a big haul. But I love that palette highly. Like, I am going to buy it soon. It's just like I haven't had the chance to purchase it. So if you, you know, that's a really good palette. It has like a ton of different colors in it. So yeah, if there are any palettes, like guys, there's so many eyeshadow palettes out. It's very hard for me to buy like every single one that I think is pretty. Like, it's just impossible nowadays. So if there's anything out there that I didn't mention that you really like and you have green eyes and you just love it, this fly is just driving me nuts. Please let us know down below. It's gonna help me out. It's gonna help everybody else out that's watching. I would really, really appreciate it. So that's it that I want to talk about. You guys know I love eyeshadow, so this was kind of hard for me, but at the end of the day, these are the ones that really make my eyes pop. I get compliments on these all the time. So that's all that I have for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to watch my first video from 7 years ago, I will link it down below. Just be nice to me, okay? Don't make fun of me. I was so young. I was a baby, okay? So yeah, thank you guys again so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I will see you in my next video. Bye!